So as we talk about ratios, one of the ways that we can work with ratios is by using these things called tape diagrams. And so this will be section 3.2. So when we talk about tape diagrams, we're not actually going to work with literal tape, but we're going to be using these objects that look like they could be tape. So let's say that you're a snowboarder and you're on a mountain and there's different types of trails that you're riding on. One of the ways you can work with a tape diagram is by drawing these little boxes, this brown one and this pink one, and we would call these the tape diagrams. Okay, so this pink would be a tape diagram, and then the brown would also be a tape diagram. And so what that's showing us is our ratio in the form of boxes. So if the beginner trail is 1 box and the expert trail is 4 boxes, you'll notice the boxes are the same size, which means we could say that for every 1 box the beginner trail has, it would be 4 for the expert trail. And so what this means is that the beginner trail has a ratio, actually the beginner trail compared to the expert has a ratio of 1 to 4, right? So for every 1 box for the beginner, you get 4 boxes for the expert. And so what this will allow us to do is to work with different numbers later on. So let's say that, let's look at example 1 here. The tape diagram represents the ratio of blue monsters to green monsters you caught in a game. You caught 10 green monsters. How many blue monsters did you catch? And so here's our tape diagram, which tells us that the ratio of blue to green is 3 to 1. Okay, and remember to keep the order is essential, right? You want to make sure that the order is understood. So from top to bottom, as these are arranged top to bottom, you would go left to right when you write your ratio over here. So if you've caught 10 green monsters, as it indicates right here, you could, in your tape diagram, actually, let me make this one green because that would make the most sense. And then let me make the other one blue. So if it says that you caught 10 green monsters, what that means is that the 10 would go into that box. Okay, and the question that they're asking is, how many blue monsters did you catch? Well, if 10 fits in this box and these boxes are all the same size, you can use the tape diagram to fill in 10 for each of these boxes, okay? Since they're the same size, it means that, each of those amounts is going to be 10. And so when it asks you how many total blue monsters you caught, you add up all of those boxes, okay? So that would give us 30. 30 blue monsters were caught in the game. And we found that out by using the blue tape diagram. So let's take a look at another example. So there are 3 bones in a cat for every 4 bones in a dog. The cat has 240 bones. Therefore, how many bones does the dog have? So our total number of bones that the cat has is 240. So that means that all of the bones in my yellow tape diagram, since yellow is for the cat, all of the bones that fit into each of those 3 boxes will total 240. So I know that 240 has to fit in all 3 of those. So to figure out how much goes in each box, we just use simple division. So I'm trying to divide 240 by 3, right? Each of those 3 boxes. You figure that out, it becomes 80. So that means that 80 would go into each box, right? 80 plus 80 plus 80 is 240, or 80 times 3 is 240. And so then if 80 fits into the box, that means that according to my tape diagram, 80 would go into these boxes. And for dogs, that means the total number of bones is 80 times 4, which will give us 320 bones. Okay, and so again, we're just using ratios to work with bigger numbers by using a tape diagram. Okay, the ratio here of cats to dogs is 3 to 4. Okay, so that's why we drew 3 boxes for the cat and 4 boxes for the dogs. And so essentially what we discovered is we're trying to come up with an equivalent ratio, right? So 240 would be equivalent to 320. So this is sort of what we use the tape diagram to discover. And these are equivalent ratios. Okay, these would be the same quantities if you actually divided them, right? If you did 3 divided by 4, you'd get the same amount as 240 divided by 320, which would be 75% or 0.75. So let's look at one more example here, example number 3, where we'll use the tape diagram just a little bit differently. So it says the ratio of your monthly allowance to your friend's monthly allowance is 5 to 3. So lucky you if you get allowances, but allowance would be an amount of money your parents give you if you're not aware. So 5 to 3. And then make sure you read real close. You want the order to stay, to stay in your mind and be accurate. So yours is 5, to your friends is 3. So your monthly allowance to your friend's monthly allowance. Okay, that's really important. So the next part says that the monthly allowance is total $40. So let's draw these tape diagrams real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They should be the same size, but sometimes you do draw them a little bit quickly. The other one here would be 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm just redrawing everything that you see here. So this one's slightly different because it's saying that the total is $40. Okay, so when you read that, when you read the total, that means that the $40 has to go, it has to be split up between the whole tape diagram. So all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all 8 boxes. Okay, so you're gonna do 40 has to be divided into 8 different boxes. Okay, so that means that 5 is gonna go into each box. And so you have to read the question carefully because not always are you going to do that. Just like in the example above, we didn't split the number of bones amongst all of the tape diagram, just the cat. And so just make sure you read carefully. And then figure out what the actual question is. How much is each allowance is the question. So that means that you're going to say your allowance is going to be the total green. So 5 times 5, so $25 is, you're going to say my allowance equals my allowance. And then your friends is going to be the total of the red, so 15. So 15 equals friends allowance. Okay, and so just read the question carefully, read it slowly, make sure you understand what the word problem is asking you, and use the tape diagram correctly. Okay, so that was 3.2 tape diagrams.